Hey everyone, Jim T. Graham with RCGroups.com, and we are looking at another video on the Avegant Glyph goggles. Now, these are completely different animals than anything you've seen, and I wanted to take a whole video to talk about how they work, how they function, all the things you get, and I also wanted to have time to fly these on my micro quads, my quads, and my airplanes, just to see what the difference was between what I see in these goggles, this headset, as opposed to all the other goggles I've had. And so I get pretty thorough in this video. If you're a potential buyer, this is definitely the video for you. And at the end, we show a little flying that I did in the goggles. So stay tuned, hang with us, and hopefully I give you some information that helps. Okay, I thought we would discuss what the Glyphs are not. The Glyphs are not the standard goggles that you're used to. They don't have tiny screens inside that you peer down and look at. Basically what they've done is redesign how images are broadcast to your eyes. So what they do is use safe, low-powered LED beams through a set of optics onto microscopic mirrors. And these shape and focus the picture and project it directly to your retina. There's no display whatsoever with these goggles. Your eyes receive complete images and not pixels, so there's no pixelization that you'll ever notice because there are no pixels. And because the experience replicates sight, it's more like seeing what's happening than watching. So it's more like being on the nose of your quad or your plane than it is than looking at a video of what's coming off the nose of your plane or your quad. And there's no screen fatigue. It's just sharp and brilliant in an image. And here's kind of a graph that shows exactly how this is being projected out of here onto your eyes. And then the next question, well, what about the specs on these things? So the display has a 1280 by 720p resolution. It's got an aspect ratio of 16 by 9 and a field of view of 40 degrees. And they say they did 40 degrees because of the way the eye sees each image and then tries to merge that. 40 FOV worked best. So let's get into this a little bit because this is pretty important to me. So I have had my eyes cut so that I have a 20/20 eye on the right and a 20, I don't know what the eye on the left is, but the left eye is for seeing close in. So all goggles are a little off to me. Now, you may not have that done, but you may have eyes that are slightly out. So I have two solutions and an answer to a question everyone asks. One question people ask is, can I wear my glasses with my goggles? This is a general question. I put these on a guy the other night who was at a party here, and we were flying the Tiny Whoop, and he put them on right over his glasses, which never occurred to me to try, and he completely said these work great with my glasses. So you can wear glasses based on his experience, but you don't have to wear glasses because if I get too close it won't focus in. But these eyepieces rotate, and so almost like binoculars. And so, well, exactly like binoculars. So when you put these on, you can adjust each eye for your eye. So if your eyes are slightly different, you can adjust these slightly to exactly work with your focus. This is one of my favorite things about these goggles. Now the next part, because let's talk about why, because on any other set of goggles, you're set to buying these little plastic pieces that slide in, and they come, 0.5, 0.1, 0.5, and things like that. They're never going to be exact. These are exact. So I think this has a lot to do with creating a great image. Then we have our adjustments up here, which really matter. And then you have a wheel right here, and this lowers and raises the nose piece. And what you want to do is you want to get these right in front of your eyes. You don't want them high, you don't want them low. You want to get them high. So, you want to get them exactly level. And so the final thing, which doesn't have to do with the display indirectly it does, is this button right here. So let's say you wanted to use these as headphones and not as goggles. You can push your lenses in. Oh, well, I just gave it away. You push your lenses in, and there is the nose piece, and we'll talk about that next. The nose piece is held on with magnets. I've had zero issues with that. But it comes with this nose piece, which I have not tried. I should try this. It might work better for me. And so if you wanted to simply use these as headphones on an airplane or something, you put this on, and then it simply becomes headphones. So we originally got here by saying, what is this button? When you push this, it pops your eyepieces back out. And if you forget about this and put them on, you will think something terribly wrong has happened to your goggles, but it hasn't. You just need to make sure these are popped out. So it comes with multiple nose pieces, as you can see. And I just put the first nose piece on that I could find, and they didn't fit very well, and they hurt. And I was like, you know, these aren't really, I'm not having a great user experience here. But then I found out, I started trying the different nose pieces. Some are wider, some are thinner, and they're all slightly different. And so when I put this nose piece on, it solved all my problems, and it fit great. So there's another piece that is right here that you don't see too much. I haven't seen on other videos. And so the question is, what are these for? These fit in these slots right here, like this. So if you did want to, you could then have the weight resting on your head and not on the bridge of your nose. Now my son was trying these out, and he did have an issue with them slipping. So this was a solution for him. Now he's younger, and his head's not as big as mine. But I have found that I don't need these at all. So I don't use them. And let's now move around to what we have on the headphones themselves. So this is your power switch. You can slide it all the way up and hold it, and there's an LED right here. And the LED will tell you your battery power. So it flashed orange, which means I need to charge it. And then when you let go, it goes in the middle, and that is on. And then here we have a plug for audio. So you can audio in here, or you don't need to audio in because the HDMI also carries an audio signal. So if you weren't using the video and just using it as headphones, you could plug that in singularly, or you could plug your HDMI cable in and pull the audio off of that. We're going to talk about how I handle this in a second. And then there's another slot right here for USB, and this is simply to charge the unit. And we do have buttons. So this button on the back is for brightness. Some people say it's too bright. For me, you can't get too bright. I run it on its brightest setting. It looks great. Jason Cole also has utilized these out in the field, and he felt like the brightness was great. Then you have volume up, volume down, and mute, which come in handy when you have no audio coming off your camera and it's all static. And then this is a menu button. Over here, this side is mostly for non-FPV applications. So I believe this is 3D, and this is another button that you would use if you were accessing. We plugged a PlayStation 4 into this, and holy smokes, that's when you really figure out what these are made for. With the great audio coming through here, and then we put it on 3D, and so the pinball game we were playing was three-dimensional in these goggles. It looked great. Now, the Vector has 3D. The Vector is a unit that you would use for an on-screen display and return to home and all that stuff. It has 3D capabilities. I would love to see a Vector through here. I think that would look awesome, and it's on my list to do. So those are all the switches. Now everything adjusts, so this can adjust to your head. I have spoken with the people that made these. Everything on this was well thought out. So the tension is definitely something that they worked on to make sure it wasn't too tight, but tight enough. They looked at the leather, or it's faux leather here on the headphones to make sure that they were soft but tough enough to withstand the rigors of daily use. And so everything on here has been really thought out. Looking at the battery life. So when you charge it here, the battery life on these are up to 4 hours, and I've yet to run out of battery power with sessions of tiny whooping or micro FPVing around the house, out at the field, things like that. The weight is 14.5 ounces, so they're not terribly heavy at all. And they are awesome units. So that was a lot, but these are expensive goggles, and you should know what's going on. Now let's talk about how I FPV these things. Okay, so obviously the one thing about the goggles, a major thing, is that it does not have any way to receive a signal from your aircraft, 5.8 or otherwise. Now, that could be a problem if you're looking for an all-in-one solution, but there are a lot of frequencies out there to fly on. So what you're looking at here is my eSheen dual diversity monitor, and it has a built-in DVR. So when I'm doing reviews, this is the unit that I'm using. Everything on here is awesome. It has a built-in shield, things like that. You could use whatever you want. You don't need a monitor. You could simply use a 5.8 receiver. But the question is, how do I get out of that and into my goggles? And so here's what I did. This unit is off of Amazon.com. I'll provide a link. And you have your audio and video ends on this side. And then over here, we have an HDMI out. So this box is like 22 bucks, nothing crazy. And it's powered, it doesn't have an internal battery, by USB. So my solution was to purchase this battery off Amazon. So this simply charges, and it is high capacity. And well, let's show what you get. And it has 2 USB outs and a micro USB. So what does that buy me? That allows me to run the RCA to HDMI converter. Also, if my goggles were to run out of juice, I could also power these off this unit. So it's doing 2 things for me. And I love the idea of having some extra USB power out in the field for whatever device I have. And so basically I run that straight out to, this is the provided HDMI cable, and then that simply plugs into the headphones, or not the headphones, but the Glyphs. And that is how I'm now seeing what's coming off my bird. So let's talk about my experience now. I've had 3D goggles, I've had head play units, I've had a lot of different things, and I've used Fat Sharks and high-end Fat Sharks, low-end Fat Sharks. I've had it all. And the thing that I found that's never happened before is even on my small quads that have mediocre, and we could take a look right now at some flight video, but even with mediocre cameras that don't look that great in any goggles, looked awesome in these goggles. And all I can think, a couple of things, is it's the lenses working with my eyes better, and it's the way in which they are presenting the video to my eyes that make it just feel better. So with the micro quad, I used a medium-sized quad in the backyard. I then went to the airfield and used one of my better cameras and better video transmitters, and that looked awesome. And so we even had Jason Cole fly around with this unit, and he, Jason races, and he's headed out for a FPV drone TV show, so he's used a lot of different goggles. He said these are the best video signal image that he's seen on any set of goggles. Now, they are not cheap. These retailed around $700, They're not for everybody, of course, but they are definitely the Cadillac right now, I say. Personally, that's my personal experience. These are the Cadillac of the goggle sets. The things they don't have, of course, are a video receiver. They don't have a DVR built in, anything like that. But if you're looking for the best image quality for your eyes, this is it. And then, of course, we have the whole unit that it connects to. For me, this is not a problem. I need the onboard DVR on this unit. I like having diversity on my units like this. So this thing's going with me everywhere I go. So that's kind of it. That's my wrap up. It's the Glyph. The Glyphs are awesome, and they work great, and they are now my full-time goggles. So I realized that this is a pretty long video, but these are pretty amazing goggles at a pretty big price. So I would think that you'd want to know all that you could learn about these things. But I thought we'd throw some fun in. Now, I can't represent what the Glyphs look like in my eyes because there's no way to shoot it. But what you're looking at is footage of some FPV flying through the Glyphs. So this is just kind of a DVR recording to my monitor. This in no way represents how clear the Glyphs are. To me, the greens were greener, the blues were bluer. Everything about the experience was more immersive, and crisp is the word I kept using. And so this is actually my very first time to put them on and fly. I made sure that I was on the right channel. Now, a lot of times, this monitor that I'm recording from has an auto search function, and it doesn't always find the right channel. And I got out about this far and started losing signal, and I meant to bring this up. I was on the wrong channel. That's my fault. And the Glyphs went black. And I had the monitor right in front of me, and I was able to, since they don't totally cover your face, simply glance down, and it was full static on the screen, but it was a ghosty enough image that I was able to get the wings level and land it simply by looking down below my sight level on the Glyphs. So the Glyphs allowed me to use the monitor and the Glyphs at the same time. I realized I had a problem, went back and verified the channel I was broadcasting on after I landed, and then made sure the receiver was on the right channel. And then, as you can see, I'm not sure how far out I could have gone, a pretty long way. So Jason's out on the runway just for a little bit of fun. I thought I would fly near him and get him to catch this is a Surfer 1500 from Ready Made RC, one of my favorite, easy to fly, easy to put together. So I'm going to swing back around and get him to catch it. So Jason is on his little battery-powered Segway, and I'm throttled down and coasting in, and Jason grabs it. He's very excited. And I said, throw it back in the air, man. So he gets it going up to about 10 miles an hour and chunks it. I'm going to show you one more thing before we get out of here. Once again, all of this is, I'm in the goggles and the Glyphs. All right, I'm in the Glyphs. Little victory roll.
All right, this is Jim T getting ready to FPV through the pavilion.
So everybody had left the field, and we have been talking about doing this, and I thought, let's try it in the Glyphs.
And he did it! Woo! We did a hand catch and release earlier. I'm riding around on my little Segway here. And he's bringing it in.
What the
Yeah,
heck?
baby.
I'm the FPV dude. I'm not the FPV.
Good work, man.
I knew I could do it. I just saw through the hole. It's like riding a motorcycle. You drive where you want to go. You don't look at what you don't want to go to. You drive where you want to go. Just like real flight.
All right.
Glyph. Glyphs rock. So we had a lot of fun, and I was immediately confident with these on my head. Just so, I mean, once again, everything just looks so good in there. You can check them out at their website, Avegant, Avegant.com, Avegant.com. And they have a lot of information, support, a lot of things. The one thing I can't do for you is show you how good they look. If you see me in the field and I have them on, come on over and I will take you for a fly, and you can adjust them to your own eyes and face and make it work. And I guarantee you will be impressed. Pretty amazing stuff. It's just amazing where this whole hobby is going and where it will be. I'm Jim T. Graham with RCGroups.com. I hope this has helped your FPV and RC adventures.